Hi, Seth David here, and I want to spend a couple minutes talking about the power of positive thinking. I read an article yesterday that was touted by somebody who I have a lot of respect for and have followed and been a fan of for many years. Dan Millman, the author of The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, posted a link on his fan page on Facebook referring to an article that basically puts down all this literature that's been written about the power of positive thinking and points out what I guess these psychologists who wrote the article felt were flaws in this thinking, and they discussed how it can actually be harmful rather than helpful. And I found myself put off by this for the reasons I'm going to explain. But I want to start off by pointing out that sometimes it's good to be put off by something, because that's what motivated me to really start thinking about how I felt about this situation. And of course, for me, it led me to do some writing about it. Now I'm going to record a video, and the writing is always going to be posted in the blog. So it's not a bad thing to be put off by something. In fact, in a sense, it's almost a compliment, because I'm paying attention to what these people are putting out there, and then I'm choosing my reaction. I'm deciding how I want to react to this, and I'm forming an opinion of my own, and now I'm expressing that opinion, of course. And one of the reasons that it put me off was I felt that the article put this stuff way out of context by comparison to what I believe is intended by all this literature that discusses positive thinking. The articles that I read suggested that these mentalities, this way of thinking, this positive thinking, means that we should walk around, pretend like everything's okay when it's not. And I don't believe for a minute that that's what's intended by any of these books, whether you read The Secret, The Power of Now, or any of this stuff. I don't think anywhere in it you're going to find something that actually says, ignore your problems and pretend like everything's okay when it's not, and then everything will be okay. Fake it till you make it, I don't believe, is the message of this type of literature. What I believe is the message, though, is to shift the way that we think about these things, because, yes, we have to take action in order to affect a change, but that action has to be preceded by thoughts. And if I sit around thinking about, and I'm just going to use this as an example, if I think about how fat I am and how I'm never going to be able to lose this weight, then in all likelihood, I'm probably never going to lose the weight. On the other hand, if I shift my thinking, if I turn that around and think, you know what, instead of thinking about how fat I am, I want to start thinking about what great shape I want to get in. What am I going to do about it? And let's start with diet and exercise. And then I can put a plan like that into action, but it has to start with the positive thought of, instead of thinking the negative thought of how fat I am, I have to shift that into a positive thought of, I want to get into shape, I want to feel good, I want to be healthy. And I'm going to start out by implementing a plan of diet and exercise in order to help put me in that direction. So of course I don't expect that I can sit on the couch and think myself into good health, but it has to start with the thoughts of good health that will lead me to take the actions that are consistent with having good health, which means I start with diet and exercise. And then if necessary, I might need to seek a doctor for medical attention if there's a problem that goes beyond what diet and exercise can help with. Negative versus positive thinking doesn't tell me that I just ignore my problems. It tells me that I shift my thinking so that I can actually begin to solve my problems instead of spending my whole life talking about them. I wrote on the You're a Miracle blog recently that a lot of what we do in life should involve, in my opinion, having a mentor, having people that I lean on and rely upon in order to get guidance. But what that means is I don't just go to them and dump my problems on them. What it means is I go to them, I lay out my problems so that they can help provide me with a solution to that problem. It means I get up off my butt and I plan on doing something about it, because if I'm just going to go to people and complain all day about all my problems without looking for a solution, then I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting their time. And that's not right, and that's not the way to live, in my opinion. The way to live, in my opinion, is look for a solution. Get excited about that solution. Find the people in your life whose guidance you trust and you feel you can rely upon, so that you can go to them and say, hey, you know what, I'm not feeling good about myself today. What do you think I can do about it? What do you suggest? And then take those suggestions and put them into practice. We make lots of resolutions for New Year's, and one of my messages to people this year, is to say, you know what, we get all excited and we feel so good about New Year's because we come up with all these resolutions, and that thought process is in place, and that feeling that we have about New Year's is in place because of the associations we make. I start thinking about New Year's Eve and New Year's Day a certain way, and I think about these resolutions and I get excited about them, and then what happens? In 30 days, 60, 90 days, it all fades out. Well, why not think that way every single day, and think every day is a new chance to make new resolutions, to make new changes in my life. I don't have to just wait till the beginning of the year to do it. I can do it today. And you know what? If I find I've messed up, if I find that I acted badly an hour ago, I can start over this hour. It doesn't have to be just on the New Year's. I can apply this in my life every single day of my life. And that's my message. And to me, that's the power of positive thinking. That's what positive thinking will do to me. It will keep me from wallowing in self-pity and getting engrossed in my problems, and it will turn me around to where I start looking for a solution to those problems, to where I start looking for a better way to live a little better life today. We're going to find fault. I can read The Secret, and there is in fact a section in The Secret where a woman goes as far as to suggest that she was able to get thin by simply thinking about being thin, and she could eat whatever she wants and not have to diet and exercise and still get thin. Maybe that worked for her. Maybe it was coincidence. Maybe there was something else in play that she hasn't mentioned in that paragraph. My point is this: I'm going to find fault with stuff when I read it. Not everything is perfect because it's written by humans who are not perfect. But what I want to be able to do is start thinking in terms of not discarding something because I find one thing wrong, one flaw. And for myself, I'm not going to hold with that. I'm not going to believe that I can just sit there and think myself into good health. I'm going to believe that I start off with thoughts of being in good health and then follow that up by the actions, which are diet and exercise, and as I mentioned, seeking medical attention. And that's just one example. I'm just using that one because it's an obvious one and I think it's a common one. But the point is not to discard an entire genre of literature based on the fact that I can find a few flaws in some of what's been said. Instead, what I want to do is take what I can use and apply in my life today and leave the rest. So I'll take part of what she says to heart and I'll say, okay, I need to start by thinking about being in good health. I need to start by changing my thought process and redirecting my focus of my thoughts onto good health. And then I have to follow that up with action. She's almost suggesting that I don't have to take any action. I can just think about it and it'll happen. That much I don't believe. Somebody else might believe it and it might work for them. That's fine. I don't fault somebody for that. So taking what you need and leaving what you don't, I think, is the key on these things. And I hope that clears a few things up, at least on my perspective about what positive thinking does. I completely disagree that it can be harmful. I think it has to be put in its proper context. I hope everybody's off to a great start this new year.